Arsenal are looking at signing Alexander Isak for their vacant striker position. Manchester United are looking at making a January move for Jarrad Branthwaite. And could Arsenal replicate their Martin Odegaard transfer by bringing in Arda Guler from Real Madrid? All of these and more in today's Football Fix. If you enjoy the video, make sure you like it and subscribe for more daily football news. Today we start with the news that Juan Mata has announced that he has purchased shares of MLS team San Diego. A lot of players, after they are retiring from playing, are, instead of going into coaching, investing in teams. We've reported on some of these over the last few days, and Juan Mata is the newest player to get some shares of a club. Fabrizio Romano has completely trounced any and all links to Southampton for Endrick. Real Madrid have not activated any plans to loan him out in January, and Endrick is also not planning to leave. Apparent reports about him going to Southampton on loan are not true at all. However, there are going to be clubs that will inquire and see whether there is any possibility for Endrick to go. And if a big enough club did ask, maybe there is still a chance that he does leave, even if it is just a 6-month loan, because if he's not happy with his game time, then you'd like to see him improve rather than just be sat on the bench, especially when you've got so many other mercurial talents doing the same thing. The big story today then, Arsenal have identified Newcastle striker Alexander Isak as their top target in the striker position. There was a lot of news a couple of seasons ago before Isak moved to Newcastle that Arsenal were really highly interested in Isak and were desperate to get him to sign. He also teased supporters when he posted that he was in London. Turns out that he was just getting something done to do with a car in London, getting a personalised plate and a Rolls Royce and everything like this, and did not move to Arsenal. They are still looking for a top striker. He would be amazing, but my goodness, he would cost a lot. In a piece for the BBC, a football investment expert, Adam Summerfield, says that American investors could own all Premier League and EFL clubs within the next decade. As he says, 14 of the 20 Premier League teams are LLP minority owned by Americans, and at least a third of the EFL are. I can't see how all of them won't have American investment in the next 5 to 10 years. I know what we have in terms of our trend line and our competitors. We have seen in recent years a couple of big American-based ownership models coming in for lower teams. You have obviously seen the massive rise of clubs like Wrexham in the past couple of years, where they have had all of this Hollywood-esque money piled into the club, and then at the top end you've got Todd Boehly and people like that. So it wouldn't be too surprising. It feels like the Saudis maybe aren't as interested in taking over other clubs as they were previously, and they're now trying to build up their own product. So this would not shock me. Leicester City news, sad one this one today. Abdul Fatawu confirms on Instagram that he's had surgery after being injured on international duty. We will find out tomorrow how long he is out for. There are rumours that it's an ACL. Andre Ayew also picked up an injury on that same international duty, so massive blow for Leicester. Fatawu not hitting the heights that he did in the Championship this season, but still an electric player when he is on form. Manchester United's board have held more talks in recent weeks to assess the feasibility of making a January move for Jarrad Branthwaite. One of the biggest stories in the summer was United heavily investing in this move and trying to get him into the club for Erik ten Hag, but the fee was just way too high, and United could not make it work with their financial situation. They ended up getting Matthias de Ligt and Lenny Yoro. So this would be a really interesting one, considering the money they've spent on those centre-backs. They've also got Lisandro Martinez. Do they necessarily need Branthwaite now? You'd feel like maybe they would have to offload a couple of players in that position in order for this move to make sense for the money that it will cost the club. Speaking of centre-backs, Wolves are set to target a new one in January to try and solve their defensive problems. They have conceded 27 goals in the league this season so far, which is a league high and is really bad. Funds will be made available for either a permanent or loan deal. The question is, what kind of level of player can they get that is going to make an instant impact, come straight into that defence and make them a lot more defensively secure? That question will be answered I guess, in the next few weeks. PBR Football have said that Liverpool manager Arne Slot is willing to sell Alisson Becker and Kevin Kelleher next summer when Georgi Mamardashvili joins the club. Mamardashvili did sign in the summer for a large fee, but he has been sent back on loan to La Liga in order to continue his game time whilst Alisson is still the main man. Of course, he picked up an injury, and so Kelleher is in net right now for Liverpool. Will this injury be the end of Alisson at Liverpool? It feels like that would be harsh unless it really affects him when he tries to come back from said injury. He is one of the best, if not the best keepers in the world. Mamardashvili, of course, a lot younger, but if you're bringing him in, surely it's because Alisson is done. And more Liverpool news. They have renewed their interest in Marcus Thuram, who has a £70 million release clause that is active until the end of the 2028 season. This would be a massive signing for them up front in a position where they don't have an out-and-out ridiculously good striker, but they do have a couple of players that have performed well there, mainly Diogo Jota. When he plays, when he's fit, he has a very good record for Liverpool. They also have Gakpo, who can play through the middle. Darwin Núñez this season has been playing through the middle and on the left as well. And so spending this amount of money would be a big, bold move. Is this the kind of thing that could be funded by a sale of Alisson? Maybe. But if this is what Slot is looking for, then clubs need to look out because Liverpool mean business. Ruben Amorim believes that Manchester United have failed recent years because they have played in the shadow of Sir Alex instead of in his spirit. It does feel like, especially when they started off without him with David Moyes, that this was always going to be the case for Manchester United. But with some of the big name managers that they've had recently, you'd think that this should have faded away by now and Sir Alex shouldn't really be looming over them when it comes to these managers. But Ruben Amorim is saying a lot of good stuff right now. We are yet to see his Man United team play, but it is nearly time. Of the new signings in the Premier League this season that have made at least 8 appearances, Dominic Solanke is the highest rated according to Who Scored this year, which a little bit surprising because he's had a few games where he's not done that much. The Leicester game, first one of the season, he should have scored in that game, then he picked up a slight knock. And so he has bounced back from that, getting a lot more goal involvements in recent weeks, and it shows that maybe that money was worth it for Spurs. Savinho got off to an electric start, but has slightly calmed down since then. Undayi has been one of Everton's best players, alongside Dwight McNeil, who's been fantastic for them. Facundo Buonanotte has been incredible for Leicester, one of their best players, no doubt. And Mazraoui, one of the only sort of well-performing players that you could say for Manchester United that actually feels like they were worth their transfer fee and a good signing. And the final story, as we mentioned at the start, Arsenal are aiming to repeat the Martin Ødegaard transfer by bringing in Arda Guler from Real Madrid. There are multiple reports on this talking about a potential loan move where he would come in either in January for 6 months and then they'd have an option to buy in the summer, or to bring in next year for a full season loan with an obligation to buy. Either of these options would be really interesting because it does follow the Martin Ødegaard route perfectly with a loan and then bringing him in permanently. Previously for Arsenal, they had also brought in Mesut Ozil on a deadline day from Real Madrid, and he was amazing for them. So could this be the third attacking midfielder that we see Arsenal sign from Madrid? I would be a tiny bit surprised, because unless they are planning to utilise him in a forward position instead of an attacking mid, then is he not going to be playing in the same spot as Ødegaard and therefore isn't really necessary? He's not going to play on the right wing because Saka's there. Could he go on the left? Maybe. Martinelli, Trossard, Sterling, not been incredible this season. And then up front, you've got Havertz and Gabby Jesus. He's not going to play as a striker. So I'd be intrigued to see where he would play. But that is the last story for today. I will see you tomorrow for more football news.